What's up, everybody? This is the 411 with DJCarlos410, and I got about an hour drive to my wedding today, so I figured I would take the opportunity to share with everybody some tips and information about ceremonies. This will be my second episode of the 411 with DJCarlos410, so I figured why not start it off with the basics. So let's start off with the ceremony. That's the first step in your wedding day. So I wanted to share some information on maybe how to plan your ceremony a little bit, give you some ideas on how to run your ceremony, and hopefully it gives you enough information to where when you're planning your wedding, or if you have a wedding coming up and you're looking for some ideas, this is helpful. So let's start with the ceremony itself. You're definitely going to want to find a venue. First of all, has your date available. Second, pretty much fits all of your needs, especially if you're not getting married in a church or in a backyard or out in the countryside. Make sure your venue has adequate space for your ceremony location. Some venues have your ceremony in the same room as your reception, and they'll turn the room over after the ceremony is over. Others will have a chapel or another area where you can get married. But one definite thing you want to be sure of, if you're getting married outside and there is a backup plan to get married indoors in case of rain or snow, high winds, whatever it may be, there's a lot of times where they'll rent that space even though you have the outside. So while it's best to err on the side of caution but always be optimistic, your wedding day is going to go exactly the way that you plan. You want to make sure that you have a backup plan, especially considering if they do have space that's available. Make sure you find out if that space will definitely be available on your wedding day if you don't rent it out yourselves. Some places they'll keep it open for you. Other places they will rent it out to other people since it's not in use. Very unfortunate. I've had times where you have to have your ceremony indoors and it's moved to the reception hall. And a lot of times there's not really enough space to accommodate all of your guests while giving you a nice aisle for you to walk down for your ceremony. Moving tables is always an option, setting up again after the ceremony. But these are things you don't want to have to deal with on your wedding day. So even if there's a day of coordinator, even if you have a wedding planner, even if you have people that are in charge of setting up centerpieces at your venue, you want to take care of all this well in advance. There's nothing wrong with having a backup plan. Worst case, you have to have it indoors. Best case, you're going to go throughout your day outside. Beautiful wedding, amazing reception, and your wedding day is exactly the way that you have dreamed it. But aside from just having a backup plan for an outdoor wedding and your venue being able to accommodate an indoor wedding in the chapel, you also want to be sure that for your ceremony, all of your wedding party understands they need to be readily available for the rehearsal to make sure they know what to do the day of your wedding. The rehearsal may not seem like it's a huge deal. You're going to walk down the aisle, your groomsmen are going to be waiting with the officiant, your bridesmaids are going to walk ahead of you, you get to the officiant, say your I do's, get married, and then everyone walks back out of the ceremony area. Well, that's not always the case. Some venues you have separate doors for the groomsmen to walk out and the bridesmaids. That way you don't have to worry about seeing the bride ahead of the ceremony. There are some venues that only have a bridal suite and the groomsmen kind of hang out in the cocktail hour area until it's time for the ceremony. So another good question to ask, where will we be before the ceremony? Where will the groomsmen be? And how do we walk? What door do we leave out of? Things like that. While you're there looking at the venue, ask those questions so you can visualize it yourself. How am I going to walk down the aisle? Who's going to walk out first? Will I have 5 bridesmaids and 5 groomsmen? Will I have 10 on each side? Will I only have a maid of honor and best man? This will give you a nice head start on understanding what you'll need for your rehearsal and then your ceremony, the wedding day. I always recommend if you're going to have more than 4 couples walking down the aisle ahead of a flower girl and a ring bearer, to choose 2 songs, one for your bridesmaids to walk down to and one for you to walk down to. A lot of people have this one perfect song and they want the entire bridal party to walk to that song, but make sure you're allowing yourself enough time to walk down the aisle and not be caught at the end of that song where there's no either build up or maybe a breakdown, or maybe right at the last chorus or verse. So things like that are what you're going to figure out way ahead of your rehearsal. So that way when it comes time to do your rehearsal, you only have that 1 hour usually to handle walking down the aisle, getting everybody lined up, organized, and making sure everybody's on the same page before your day. So my rule, if you have more than 4 couples walking, go for a second song. Now, if you picked a song that's 4 minutes long, by all means, feel free to do 1 song. I'm just sharing my experience, what works best. You don't want to be caught at the end of a song for your walk down the aisle. It is your most important day of your life with your new husband or wife, and you want to make sure that it's perfect. Now, before we get to the rehearsal, one more thing I want to talk about with the ceremony is where you're going to have your DJ set up. Now, of course, I'm a little partial to this because I'm a DJ, and when I get to the venue and I want to look it over to make sure there's power, to make sure I know where the groomsmen and the bridesmaids are walking out, I usually do a site visit to check out pretty much everything. That way I can see in my head what exactly is going to happen the day of your wedding, how we're going to have your guests walk to the cocktail hour or into the reception hall. And that way, when we get to the day of your wedding, there's no guessing. There's no trying to keep people organized. So, your rehearsal. Make sure that your entire wedding party's there. Make sure that your officiant, if they're available, can be there. DJ, I'll say that it is not the most important to have the DJ there unless you want to make sure that the timing of everything is to the music. I wouldn't suggest just having a small speaker and an iPod and having someone in charge of just starting and stopping music and kind of getting a general idea, just because a lot of times when they're trying to do the music for you, it's not going to be the same way as someone who's done wedding ceremonies in the past, someone who has the experience to make sure that if there are things that need to speed up, slow down, that it's taken care of right at the rehearsal. Now, if you just have 2 songs, you know that the bridesmaids are walking out to 1 song, your groomsmen and the officiant are walking out to whatever's playing ahead of time, no need. You're going to walk to your own song. You can take up to the length of that song if you like. It's your day. But again, if you want to make sure that the timing is perfect, you have 1 song, you have everything to the minute, specific times when people are supposed to walk, make sure you invite your DJ. DJ will be more than accommodating. Some will charge a small fee for that day, others will not. It's up to you to discuss all of this ahead of time, but also if you have a good DJ, they will discuss with you at the time of meeting or at the time of signing the contract to make sure that you're aware later on down the road, if you really would like them to be there, there may be a fee. So now we're through the planning, wedding party's settled, we got through the rehearsal, and then we have a few days until the actual wedding day. So what to expect? Number 1, your rehearsal may have gone flawless. Your rehearsal may have been probably a huge headache and you're still not sure if everything went perfectly. Well, I'm going to tell you not to worry. Easy to say, I know, but don't worry. Your wedding day, no one there knows whether or not it went perfectly, if anything went wrong, if timing was off. They don't know if even the right music's being played. The only thing that they know is that they're there to celebrate with you, your family, and your new spouse on your very special day, and they want to celebrate. That's all they're there, and they're going to know. So while it may be so important for it to be perfect for you, and it most likely will be perfect, the less that you stress about it ahead of time, the better off that you'll be the day of. You'll be full of nerves and emotion, ready to walk down the aisle, and that's for both of you, bride and the groom, or both brides, both grooms, because it is an important day. There's a lot of emotion. There's your entire family there, and they're excited to see you walk down the aisle. So try not to stress ahead of time. You're going to have all the emotions the day of anyway. So enjoy those emotions on your wedding day. They're going to be happy emotions. Your friends and family are going to have all kinds of happy emotions. So embrace it, enjoy it. It's going to be an amazing day. So your ceremony, you may not be where you were at the rehearsal because you're trying to organize your wedding party. That's because you're going to be in your dress, you're going to be hiding somewhere, you're going to be out of sight. So see if there's a way that you can either see the entire wedding party, that way you know once they start walking. See if there's a location where if you can't see everyone, you can at least hear the music. Because if you know that the music's been going for a few minutes and everyone's probably walked down the aisle, the music's going to change soon. So that can be your cue. Or you can have someone not in the wedding party. Maybe there's a day of coordinator that can assist. Have them stay with you somewhere halfway between where the ceremony area is and where you're going to be held. So they can give you a cue. Come on down, everybody's walked. And then your DJ will know once they either see you or they know that the coordinator has given you the cue to start walking around to the ceremony area, to change the music and prepare for you to come down the aisle. The music will be loud enough as long as you've done the rehearsal and the DJ's familiar with the venue, so that way you can hear it. You have 50, 100, 200 guests, maybe more, so the music's going to be fairly loud because there's a lot of people, especially if it's outdoors, so don't worry about that. The only thing that you should be concerned about is if you're not anywhere within sight of the ceremony area, make sure you have someone there to give you a cue to come out so that way you can walk. If there's a door, and I've had this happen before and I've jumped up and I've opened the door, if there's a door to where you're waiting to come out, make sure you have someone there that can open the door for you. I know this sounds fairly simple, maybe it sounds kind of funny, but it's true. You are so used to the rehearsal, you're the one directing traffic, and then it comes time and the flower girls, ring bearer, whoever walks out in front of you have now walked, but maybe the door's closed and now you can't hear the music. So make sure there's someone there to open the door for you. There's nothing wrong with having ushers that aren't in the wedding party that have seats somewhere in the crowd to wait, open the door, and then you do your walk. Let them know they're going to have to listen for this song or the song change, but for the most part they'll know what they're doing. Not only will this help because you'll be able to walk down to the music at the right time, but also it's going to look very formalized. You're going to have one or two people standing there holding the door open for you. Maybe they fix the train on your dress. It's all going to contribute to your ceremony, so don't think it's too much. Don't think that it's maybe just a small oversight. Just plan it. That way, come the day of, you don't have to worry about it. Now, from the DJ's side, the ceremony, I actually include wedding planning worksheets that will also give you your song selections, options like hand fasting, sand ceremony, or just the standard ceremony with maybe a reading and you want some music for that reading played low, or maybe you have kind of a candle that you're going to light to remind people of those who couldn't be with you on your special day, and there could be music played during that. All of that I have outlined in my planning worksheets, so that way when it comes time to plan the actual ceremony, not just walking and where to stand and who to choose for your wedding party, but this pretty much fills in all of the gaps for the remainder of your ceremony. So obviously you're going to have music playing beforehand. Make sure you communicate with your DJ whether or not that's going to take place, and if that's going to be extra. I personally only charge from the beginning of the ceremony till the last dance, and I have music playing half hour, 45 minutes before guests arrive, which makes sure that as guests arrive, it feels like a wedding is about to begin. People are more comfortable sitting down and waiting, as opposed to arriving in silence. Then they kind of linger around, kind of walk around looking into the reception hall, and you want to make sure that you're not the one worried about everyone being where they need to be. You just want to worry about being there and then getting ready to walk down that aisle. So, music beforehand, usually some nice string instrumentals works well. Sometimes people have themes, so they want to have maybe some Caribbean music. So there's all different options that you can go with before the ceremony. It's more or less just background noise, because people who haven't seen each other in a while, or people that want to converse before your ceremony, they're going to do that. And it's more going to be just to set the ambiance of your day. So don't stress too much about music before the ceremony. Don't stress too much about music during your after your recessional, because once your recessional is over, all of your guests have already moved into the cocktail hour, and that's a whole separate thing that we'll go into on another video. So communicate. I can't stress it enough, because there's no wrong question to ask your DJ about music, considering that's why they're there, to provide your music, but also to handle the logistics of your day. If you have any other thoughts about ceremonies, maybe there's something I missed, considering I'm driving an hour to my wedding, drop them in the comments. Obviously, feel free to discuss anything else about the wedding day, and that'll probably be in my next video, or maybe my video on the way home from this wedding. But specifically with the ceremony, make sure that you drop some comments. Tell me about your ceremony, things that went right, things that went wrong, anything about your ceremony at all, just so that way I can kind of address those, maybe give you some recommendations, and people watching this for the first time that are planning to get married, it'll be kind of some advice for them, so that way they can kind of watch out for that before their wedding day. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Perfect timing, because I'm about to go through the toll booth. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, but also comment below. Your subscribing helps me, keeps me doing videos like these to help people like you. And see you on the next one.